So it's looking like Donald Trump just triggered a black swan event. And let me show you guys what's going on. Dow futures tumbled 900 points as U.S. oil tops $100 a barrel to begin the week's trading. Markets are just opening up here in Asia. And I'll just say, guys, it looks really, really ugly in there. And that's why I'm saying black swan event. It's something that you kind of figure that we're going towards, but to actually see it and see it in this way, like how can you destroy the world economy in a week? That's what we're looking at. Oil is actually above 100 now, right? The headlines were all $100, $100, but actually WTI at the moment, as of recording, 106, Brent at 107. So again, above $100. Before, Qatar was warning 150. And now we're getting talk of $200 a barrel. And I want to show you guys as we dig into this stuff, what's going on. And it's this combination of a lot of things. At one point, it says oil prices have jumped as high as $111 a barrel. This is coming from Financial Times, breaking the $100 barrel for the first time since August 2022. And we just got an announcement that Harmony's kid, his son, is going to take over. And it sounds like he's going to be more hardliner than his dad. And essentially, I'll just say this, it could get really ugly. Essentially, you got, Harmony on the one side, you got Trump and Netanyahu on the other side. I don't think either of these guys are going to back down, and they're just dragging us all down with them. I mean, that's what we're faced with right now, and you can see it in the markets are calling it out. There it is right there. Iran elevates Harmony's son as increased strikes shake region. It's really ugly. And then you get these discussions here. Why oil at $200 a barrel is no longer unthinkable, right? This was just a couple of days ago we were talking about, because first I was saying, guys, Qatar is saying 150. Now we're talking 200. How high does the oil price go in that case? Pretty high, potentially. Demand for oil is inelastic, meaning that regardless of what the economy does, people use oil, right? Meaning it's hard to get people to stop using it, even when it costs them more. The impact of demand would vary widely from place to place and person to person. Airlines usually pass the cost straight through to flyers. American motorists, whose fuel prices rise in lockstep with oil, tend to be more sensitive. And one of the things that someone was mentioning in our community was saying, before we're worried about how much we're paid at work. Now we're worried about how much we have to pay to get to work, right? Which is a good way to put it. But remember, oil is not just energy. I use oil in multiple products. As many of you have pointed out in the community, it is a vital part of our economy. I've said for years, for decades, better way to put it is that we really need to get off oil as much as we can. And just we're basically enslaved to this stuff. Isn't it obvious that we should have been gone for a long time? And the Trump's always like, oh, I hate alternative energy. I hate wind. I hate solar. Let's do oil more, right? And so now we're stuck in this war heading towards $200 a barrel, perhaps. And now we got a tweet from Trump. This is what he says. Short-term oil prices, which will drop rapidly when the destruction of Iran nuclear threat is over, is a very small price to pay for USA and world safety and peace. Only fools would think differently. President DJT. And that's the picture they're using of Trump over at Fox News, trying to say everything's fine, just pay the high oil prices.
Getting some more details about this service member, the seventh now to be killed in the middle of these attacks. And our Jen Griffin is reporting tonight that service member wounded was actually being prepared to being transferred to our U.S. military hospital in Germany when that service member succumbed to their wounds and injuries. This is a statement from CENTCOM just posted on X. They write that the service member was seriously wounded at the scene of an attack on U.S. troops in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia on March 1st. Right now, they're withholding the identity of that service member until they can notify the next of kin. And 24 hours after that is when they will be able to release that to the rest of us.
And now we're evacuating our people out of Saudi Arabia. This is a bad sign. I just, when you see this, it just means I think they're thinking escalation. I'll just be frank. The U.S. said to order diplomats in Saudi Arabia to leave. It's coming from the New York Times today. I'll read a little bit of it. The State Department ordered American employees and diplomats in Saudi Arabia to leave the country amid the war with Iran, telling our diplomats to leave. The move is first time the agency has approved an quote, ordered departure since the first strikes in Iran on February 28th. Non-critical American government staff and their families stationed at diplomatic posts in the area had been given the option to depart voluntarily, but now are ordered to do so. Right? They're telling people to come home. This is the embassy, and it's ugly, guys. I mean, I think you know this already. That's why I keep saying like black swan kind of event. And then this is actually in our local news here in Korea today. Iran warns Gulf nations, quote, bear $200 oil or face retaliation. This is a discussion today, $200 oil. So before it's speculation, now it's more of like a threat. And it says Revolutionary Guard threatens Gulf oil infrastructure strikes, claims 29th missile attack on Israel. Let me read what they're saying so you can hear it entirety as they talk about, again, $200 oil. Iran, which elected Matzba Harmani, so that's, again, the son, as its third supreme leader, has declared a, quote, strong will to resist against the U.S. and Israel. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps stated on the 8th, addressing Middle Eastern oil-producing nations, so talking to their neighbors, quote, Islamic governments must swiftly warn the criminal U.S. and the barbaric, regime against such cowardly and inhuman actions, okay? This condemnation follows Israel's previous day attack on 4 major oil facilities in the capital, Tehran, reducing parts of the city to, quote, a sea of fire. And I've been showing you guys images of that. It's just really, really terrible over there. So I understand why the Revolutionary Guard is putting out these messages. It says, otherwise, similar measures will be taken in the Gulf region, implying retaliatory strikes on the Gulf nation's oil infrastructure. It further warned, here's a quote, if you can afford oil prices exceeding, well, now we're going past, exceeding $200 per barrel, continue this game. The Guard also claimed to have launched its 29th attack, next-generation missiles toward Tel Aviv, the Negev Desert, and the U.S. terrorist bases in Israel. That's quotes from them. This is what we're faced with. Let me guys show you some more here. That's the new leader there, Mohabi Harmaini as supreme leader, and I guess he's been consolidating power, is what it's been saying, and he's more of a hardliner than his dad. That's what pretty much all the articles have been saying. We've been talking about it for a while. There's also a possibility that Israel and USA will start really amping up their rhetoric, and then this guy will amp up his rhetoric, and it just sends everything spiraling. And so I think the U.S. evacuating, ordering, better way to put it, people out is a real telling sign of where the U.S. thinks this is going. And then you have this, which we've been talking about just the last couple of videos. Attacks on the desalinization drag water supplies into the war with Iran. And so not only could we be attacking each other's oil production, oil depots, these things, also the water supply, which will have severe impact on the region. And this put this all together, it's a black swan event. That's why I keep saying that. And then you also have this, I guess we're fighting in Iraq already. Iraq becomes battleground for U.S. forces once again. The U.S. is targeting militias that carried out several dozens of attacks in the show of support for Iran. So I think these are groups that we would have fought before when the U.S. is more heavily involved in Iraq, is what it sounds like, and they're fighting again. The war in the Middle East is pushing the U.S. military back into combat in Iraq against an old foe. Iran-backed militia groups that 2 decades ago battled American troops in the streets of Baghdad. The U.S. said Sunday has been carrying out attacks against the militias, acknowledging that the war in Iran is spilling into neighboring Iraq, so we're already fighting now, and drawing American forces back into place where they spent years fighting insurgents and endured heavy casualties after the 2003 invasion that deposed Saddam Hussein. Here's a quote here. We have conducted operations in Iraq as part of Operation Epic Fury, but it's in defense of U.S. troops as they've come under attack by Iran-aligned militia groups. These tactics are a significant shift for the Pentagon, which mostly avoided targeting Iraqi militias in recent years, seeking to disengage from the painful conflict once and for all, but it sounds like we are right back into it. And this is where we're at, guys. You're probably going to see gas prices go up. I mean, it's already news here in In Korea, diesel heating oil surged 20%, hurting truck drivers, farmers. I mean, this is our news. It's going to be the same when you wake up Monday morning in the USA. I'm sure you're hearing this already in Europe as well, in Australia and otherwise. And as I said from the outset, this just feels like a black swan event. You have wars breaking out in the Middle East. You have a completely inept and uncaring and deeply awful, as you guys know, Trump administration. They're all greedy. They're not in it for the regular people. And then you put that together with our bubble market that we've been seeing, be it with AI or whatever. I mean, it's a lot of it's based on debt. It just looks like a perfect storm. So we'll see how markets hold up. But if I had to take a bet, it obviously doesn't look good. And it's all connected at the moment to the price of oil. That's the easiest indicator to watch. So right now it's above 100. Watch for 150, and we'll see if it goes to 200. So that's my thoughts on this. I'd like to hear yours, and I'll catch you on the next video.